Hey guys, Mr. Riss here to help you guys out with using Autodesk Fusion in our POE course. In this class here, a lot of this, what we'll use Fusion for is just building a virtual model of your project. Now, there are going to be a couple things, and I'll go through again that we really won't get into. We probably won't have to get into like putting every single screw and every single nut and bolt on here, but generally we want to build a 3D model. And some of the things too at the beginning, I'll have less requirements on the type of joins that we do. But that's for a later conversation, and we'll kind of see here. So with the design, when we open up Fusion, we want to make sure we sign in, and then you want to, if this isn't popping up, you want to make sure you go to File and a New Design. Okay. And then the next thing to do, you want to start loading in your pieces here. So over to the top left corner of the screen, there is the data panel, whatever you want to call it. And you should see here there are folders. And now right now I'm in the POE folder. If you ever get lost, click the home button and you should be able to find that. I have multiple folders here. I'm going to stick with POE. And then each student in the class has their own specific folder. And then at the very bottom, there is the VEX library. This has pretty much every single VEX part that's been made or is available. So anything in the class that we can use, we can find it here on VEX. And I'm going to spend some time going over the folders. Do let them take a while to go through and load up. So we can see we have electronics here. Inside the electronics, we have our brain. We got controllers, we got motors. With the brain, there's accessories here too. So you got your battery clips, your mountain figures, your power cables. You could even put on the screen. Go back here to see other electronics here. We have all of our sensors that we can hook up. Now, keep in mind, these are just regular sensors here, or the sensors don't have the wires. I'm not going to require you guys to put the wires in your drawing, but at least put down like where the sensors are going to be located at, so we know. And then I mean, you can see here we got the wires and the cable, and you can see, yeah, they're even listed on here. We could get to the point where you could see how the wiring would be, but going through. So there's all the electronics. Now you got your field elements. You guys really won't have to mess around with any of this stuff because this is actually the like robotics competition fields. Hardware, this is a big one. So we definitely have all the nuts and they are broken down to what kind, what size, everything like that. Just gonna kind of pretty much know that that's there. We don't really have to mess around with that too much. We got retainers and screws and standoffs. You probably might need to put some standoffs in there, and you can see the different sizes that all the standoff comes in. Screw retainers. What are those? Let's double check there. Okay, yeah, some of those special clips that we have to have. You might need to do those. And then screws, you can see those. They're all there. I'm gonna say for my general rule, unless it's the very, very final project, you guys won't need to put any of that hardware in there, unless it's like a standoff or a retainer. All right, motion, this is another big one here. There's a lot of different gears. These are ones you're going to have to put into. So if we look at the gears, they're broken into high strength and low strength. Most of the stuff we're dealing is the low strength gear. And then you can see here we got drilled gears or beveled gears, but we can go through those. So let me go through, keep going back here. So we had gears, and then okay, did I go straight to motion? All right, yeah, motion. There is a bunch. Oh, and then finally load the other ones. So we got bearings and change slip and inserts. Like you really spend some time going through all these here. You got your turntables, your sprockets, your spacers, your pneumatics, your bars and everything like that. And then we have structural stuff, which I'll probably start. So pretty much we're going to just stick with the aluminum folder, although there's probably a steel folder as well. We do have both parts, but I'll open up aluminum first. Oh yeah, this is loading real slowly here. Let's see. Aluminum. Okay, there we go. Brackets, steel, and gussies. So you guys can see here all these different channels here. And so um let me just try to build a really basic like axle for us today and kind of show you what we can do here. So maybe we are building the axle with one of the like U channels or here a 2x2 U channel. We can open them up too because there's different sizes here as well that we can see. And find the whichever one you need. There's even some, I mean, you can see here some of the customly cut pieces. They have them on here. But let me just go ahead. 2x2 U channel. All right, so what you want to do here, if in your structure, you're just going to click and drag over your piece. All right, now when it gets dropped off, we probably want to do some orientation, move it around. So I'm going to use these circles here to move it over. So I'm going to go ahead, trick and drag that. And then you may or may not need to then slide the piece up or down, kind of depending on where it's going to be located at. All righty. And once it's good to go, then you click OK. The biggest thing with Fusion is, as you guys are learning, there's some techniques. Now, let's actually talk about the mouse, how we're going to use the mouse a lot in this. So the mouse, what you guys saw I did using the scroll wheel, we can zoom in and we can zoom out. Okay. Another thing is if you push in with the scroll wheel, you can then move the mouse around and it changes your kind of like your view. Now, if you want to change your perspective, what side you're looking at, you can use the mouse and click and drag this little piece here, but I find it easier by holding the shift button and then clicking, dragging with the scroll wheel. We got to get the mouse flat here. And that will allow you to go around and change your view. This is very useful. So I see, actually, I'm kind of hovering up here, but it doesn't really matter. Okay. So once you have your very first piece that you want to go through, what you're going to do with that piece, you can see it over here. You're going to right click on this piece and you're going to pin it. You're pretty much always going to want to pin your first piece and then build around it. Okay, so there we go. Next thing I think I would probably need would be like a motor. So I'm going to go through my Vex library here. I'm going to find a electronic, and I'm going to find one of the motors. I'm going to use probably one of the like 11-watt motors, bigger ones that we have here. I'm going to bring it in here. Now, by default, it's going to put it right here in the middle of the screen. I'm going to move it over to the side. I might even turn it around here. And there we go. Right here, and press OK. So the next is how do we connect these two together? So if I'm thinking here, what I would want to do normally, like maybe I'm going to have this piece here connect with like this hole right here. Is that actually what I would do? Yeah. Okay, maybe it will go into like this hole here. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you guys how we can join things together. So with the join tab, it's up here. It's in the assembly. We're going to click join. And that's going to allow us, oh, you know what, cancel. All right, we're going to click join. Oh yeah, I forgot. So the first thing we do is we can't click the pinned item that we have. So we got to say what we're moving. And I'm going to, once again, holding down shift, using the scroll wheel here, I'm going to pick. And what we're going to do is be very specific and say, you know, what piece we're going to join. And I'm going to look here and look at the center of this screw here, this plate here. So as I move my mouse around this, I'm going through this very slowly. You can see like the center icon picks. Now you want to make sure you click like this center versus like, let me see if I can do it here. Like this center down here or any of these points, because we're going to just basically match up touching points. So one thing you can do here is like if I hover over this face plate here, you can then hold down the control button, and that's going to allow you to move your mouse a little bit more freely and pick those dots. It's going to lock on that face. All right, so I'm going to click this center dot here. So imagine I just selected, or you just selected the center of that screw. We got to figure out what point we're going to line it up with here. So I'm going to put my mouse, and I'm going to hover it over the screen here, because you can see if I try to move it, there's a lot of jumping around. So leaving my mouse hovering on this here, holding down the control button on my keyboard, and then I'm going to slide and pick this center point if I can. Might have to zoom in. That square. Let me here. What about one of these? Okay, maybe that's where it can do that one, but can't do another one. Okay, we'll just do this one. There should be a way. It's not letting. Okay, there we go. I got this centerpiece here. Sometimes you just got to move around, and a lot of this, guys, take your time. All right, and so what we just did there is we can see it, and it just moved that piece together. Now, if the piece is ever off or moved, you can go ahead and slide it. So if it was just a little off, you can like move this and scroll it, change the offset amount by how much ever you want. It could be facing the wrong direction, so you might have to flip it. So if it was like defaulted like this, one thing about Fusion is it does kind of predict what you're trying to do here. Be like, oh, okay, actually, what it should do is that. And then here's a big thing. Motion right now is rigid, and that's pretty much always what we're going to do here. But you can see here, that's just going to lock those two pieces together. Press OK. And now you can see here is those two pieces are stuck together. All right, they're joined together. Now, typically here, we would connect those with screws, and we would say what size screws we would use to connect them, but that's pretty much good there. Okay, next, what we would do is probably, if we think about it, looking through the side here, hook up the axle that goes into that spot there. And for me, I'm not going to really care that this axle is slightly off axis. That's going to be fine enough to kind of illustrate what's going on here. But let's say, let's get our axle. So we'll go through our library, look at motion here. We just need a low strength axle. You can actually see like a bunch of different things here that we have. I'm going to just drag this low strength shaft out. That looks long enough. There are longer ones in these folders here. Search for them, or this is good enough here. And then, okay, that's good. So once again here, what we want to do is try to figure out, okay, what are we going to match up? So if I'm looking at the inside part here, and one thing you can do, like if this is blocking your view, you can click this little eyeball here and it makes it invisible. All right, so if I'm thinking here, I'm going to do that because I'm going to want to connect this shaft piece here to the inside of this piece in here. All right, so let's do our join. So this one, since we're not using the main piece here, the pin, we can pick either one. And I'm going to pick this one first, and I'm going to pick the center of that square there. And what am I going to match it up with? I'm going to match it up with the center of this square here. Now, I'm not going to be super particular if you're like, on the inside edge or there, but okay, that should be the right point. Take your time, let your mouse sit still, click enter. Okay. Now, if you want to go through and adjust the angle of this to make sure that it matches up a little bit neater, you can. If not, here we go. That looks good to me. I'm going to press OK. And then if we turn our visibility on, we have that shaft going through. Okay, so the big thing here is, getting used to taking these and doing the join. Now, one thing that we can do here is, this isn't the best, but I'm going to put a wheel on here. I should have probably picked a longer for this. Let's see, just a regular omnidirectional wheel is fine. I'm sure a 4-inch one. I'm just trying to go through, find a piece. Okay. Here we go. This one already has the insert in it. And okay, cool. Wow, that is really big. Move it over to the side, press OK. So once again, I'm going to do just another join on here. And let's see, I'm going to match up like this piece here with that. So this probably isn't the best exactly, but it's going to get the point. So I'm going to say join. Once again, go into this square here, holding down the control key at the center of that square. I'm going to join it with, go over here, probably the center of that circle piece there. Yeah, those centers would match up. All right, now that did just move the insert, and that will happen sometimes. We just got to be like, okay, is that what we want? If we want to slide it in or out, we can slide that in a little bit more. And that insert is now good. Move it around. Cool. Actually, I can go in a lot more. There we go. Okay, that's pretty good there. And imagining it would flip everything. And if we look at the motion, it should be rigid. So those are going to be stuck together, and we'll press OK. That's going to move everything. Oh, So if there's ever any problems, like we can say that these are overlapping, what we can do is go back to our joins. This was our third rigid. We can right click on it and click edit joint. And all I'm going to do is be like, you know what? That was a little too close. I'm going to scoot you back here, press OK. All right, now it looks clear. So we got a rigid joint. Another thing that we can do here is the second rigid joint here. This is where we can get really fancy is I can click edit the joint. And instead of doing motion here of rigid, if I click on that, I could do like revolve. And you can see here in the demo that it previews, it rotates around and we can press OK. And now we have the ability in our 3D model to show the motion of this. So we got this revolving. And that's pretty cool. That's pretty advanced. Okay, so what you guys will do is throughout this course is you guys will be building 3D models once we get used to really working with Vex parts, how they work. So that way we have a digital display. There's other things that we can do too. We can build out our drawings from these and actually have some really nice CAD drawings made from them. And I'll show you guys videos later how to do that. All right, guys, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, make sure you ask. If not, you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys later. Have a good one.